The biting winds of Sydney's early winter sliced through my coat, but the chill inside my chest was far colder. I had just stepped out of a high-stakes auction when I saw him, a ghost standing in the golden glow of a luxury boutique. It was Dominic, my husband, the man I had officially buried 3 years ago after a private plane disappeared over the Pacific. My heart shattered into a million jagged pieces as I watched him kneel to lace the shoes of a toddler who carried his exact silhouette. Beside him stood his former assistant, draped in designer silk, wearing the smile of a woman who had stolen a life that belonged to me. The grief I had carried like a shroud for years instantly ignited into a scorching, white-hot fury. If you're shocked by this ultimate betrayal, hit like and subscribe to see how I take everything back. I wasn't always this cold. As a top-tier antiques appraiser, I was trained by my late father to see the hidden soul within every artifact. He taught me that true value lies in authenticity, a lesson I failed to apply to my own marriage. For 3 agonizing years, I lived like a hollow shell of a woman, a grieving widow working 18-hour days until my hands bled. To protect Dominic's family name, I systematically liquidated my life's work. I sold my mother's heirloom diamonds and my father's priceless colonial collection, all to settle a staggering debt he supposedly left behind. I thought I was honoring a dead hero. In reality, I was funding the luxury lifestyle of a coward. I sacrificed my heritage to pay for a lie, while the man I mourned was building a new empire with my sweat and tears. The flight back from Sydney felt like a descent into the depths of a dark conspiracy. As soon as I touched down, I met with Arthur, my father's most trusted attorney, and a man who treats the law like a holy scripture. Together, we began digging through the mountain of forensic accounting records from the past 3 years. The truth we uncovered was a physical blow to my gut. Dominic had never lost a single penny in high-risk investments, as he had claimed. Every cent of that massive debt was a meticulously choreographed illusion, a smokescreen designed to allow him to smuggle our marital assets into offshore accounts. My blood, my sweat, and my parents' legacy hadn't gone to creditors. They had been funneled directly into the foundation of his new, lavish empire. I wasn't a widow. I was his unwitting financier. The financial theft was brutal, but the physical betrayal was demonic. For 3 years, my mother-in-law, Martha, had brought me a calming herbal tea every single night, claiming it would help me recover from the grief of losing Dominic. I drank it with a daughter's trust. But after my discovery in Sydney, I took a sample to a lab. The results left me paralyzed. The infusion wasn't medicine. It was a toxic cocktail of high-potency herbs designed to cause permanent infertility. They didn't just want my money. They wanted to ensure I never had a child who could inherit my family's estate. They wanted me barren, broken, and bonded to them forever as a tireless, childless workhorse. They had systematically murdered my future as a mother, turning my loyalty into a cage and my body into a profit-making machine for their greed. Despite the agonizing pain searing through my soul, I chose to stay silent. I refused to give them the satisfaction of a scream. Instead, I donned the mask of the submissive, grieving daughter-in-law, hiding my fury behind a facade of exhaustion. I returned to the villa to play a dangerous game of cat and mouse, enduring Martha's condescending remarks just to gather the evidence I needed to destroy them. To test her, I announced that I was officially broke. I cut the luxury grocery bills, canceled the household staff, and watched the grieving mother transform into a greedy monster the moment the cash flow stopped. Her mask slipped instantly, revealing a woman who didn't love me, but merely worshipped my bank account. Please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the moment Julianne finally brings this family to their knees. Martha's true colors didn't just bleed, they stained everything I held sacred. Through a hidden camera I'd installed in the study, I watched her reveal herself as a cold-blooded accomplice. She wasn't just a grieving mother, she was Dominic's secret handler, whispering into a burner phone about wire transfers and his safe life in Australia. But the final blow to my heart came when she thought I wasn't looking. Believing my lies about our bankruptcy, she began inventorying my father's priceless antiques, the very soul of my heritage. With greedy, trembling hands, she contacted a shady dealer, haggling over the price of artifacts she had no right to touch. She was prepared to sell my father's memory just to maintain her lifestyle, proving that to her I was never family. I was merely a vault to be plundered until it was empty. Arthur called me into his office, his face a grim mask of professional fury. He had finally cracked the encryption on the offshore accounts, and what he found was a masterclass in financial depravity. Every dollar I had bled for, every heirloom I had sold to save the family, had been funneled through a sophisticated laundering network. The destination? A secretive Swiss entity called the Dante Trust, named after the young son I had seen in Sydney. Dominic hadn't just faked his death, he had choreographed a global shell game. He used his own parents as a moral shield and transformed me into his unwitting financial engine, exploiting my loyalty to bankroll a life of opulence for his new family. I was the workhorse and they were the parasites, feeding off my grief to build a kingdom on a foundation of lies. To catch a predator as cunning as Dominic, I had to enter the world of shadows. I visited my old mentor, a master restorer who could make a piece of clay whisper secrets from 1,000 years ago. I asked him to do the unthinkable, create a perfect sun vessel, a legendary Taino artifact so flawless it would deceive even the most eagle-eyed collector. This wasn't just a forgery, it was a Trojan horse designed to exploit Dominic's one fatal flaw, his insatiable greed. I knew that news of such a discovery would spread through the black market like wildfire, reaching him in his Australian hiding place. He wouldn't be able to resist the lure of a multi-million-dollar treasure. I was no longer the grieving widow. I was the architect of a trap, using his own hunger to lure the snake out of his hole and back into my domain. The woman who believed in "until death do us part" died on that rain-slicked street in Sydney. In her place stood someone I barely recognized, someone forged in the fire of absolute betrayal. I officially shed the skin of the lovesick wife and began building a legal fortress. With Arthur's help, I initiated the firewall protocol, filing the paperwork to permanently sever my heritage from the marital estate and preparing a massive criminal indictment for fraud and money laundering. As I sat in the dim light of my study, a single tear escaped and hit the mahogany desk. It was the last one I would ever shed for Dominic. That tear wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a purification, a final baptism that transformed me. I was no longer the victim waiting for a ghost to return. I had become a cold, calculating predator, and the hunt had officially begun. The trap is set, and the hammer of justice is about to fall. Julianne's journey proves that while you can fake a death, you cannot outrun the truth. Dominic and his accomplices will soon discover that the wealth they stole was merely a down payment on their own destruction, as they trade their luxury for a prison cell. But for Julianne, this isn't about revenge anymore. It's about reclaiming her soul. She finally understands that misplaced kindness is a slow-acting poison, and true strength lies in the courage to face a cruel reality and walk away whole. She isn't just a survivor, she is a woman reborn in the light of her own self-respect. If you believe that respect is the foundation of every home, please subscribe and share your story. Thank you for watching.